Have you ever felt like people only value you once you're gone? Like they only realize what they had when it's already too late? What if I told you that the reason people take you for granted is because you've forgotten your own power? In this first part, we explore a hidden truth. Most of us are walking around hoping others will see our worth, give us love, or tell us who we are. But the more you chase their approval, the more invisible you become. You don't lose people because you're not good enough. You lose them because you forget how powerful it is to stop needing them. This isn't about playing games or seeking revenge. This is about becoming so grounded in your worth that you no longer have to prove anything. That's when everything changes. That's when they start to feel your absence. When you stop trying to be seen, that's exactly when people start to notice you, and regret begins to grow. Most of us are taught to be someone we're not. From a young age, we learn to please. Others keep the peace and hide the parts of ourselves we fear won't be loved. This creates what psychologists call the false self, a version of us built from fear, wounds, and old survival habits. It's the version that overgives, over-apologizes, and waits around to be chosen. In this section, we dive deep into this mask we all wear. We'll talk about what Carl Jung called the persona, and how living through this false identity causes pain, confusion, and rejection. But here's the twist. The people who walk away from you weren't rejecting the real you. They were walking away from the mask you were forced to wear. And once that mask falls, you begin to change. You stop explaining. You stop chasing. You begin to rise. This is when the real you starts to emerge, the one that doesn't need to beg, the one that can't be replaced. And that's the version they regret losing because it's the one they never truly had. This is the turning point. Right here. This is where you stop asking, "Why did they leave me?" and start asking, "Why? Was I waiting to be chosen?" We reveal the one mindset that flips everything upside down: emotional sovereignty. That means you no longer base your value on how others see you. You no longer chase answers, closure, or acceptance. You become the answer. This mindset isn't cold or heartless. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about deeply knowing that you are enough, without anyone needing to confirm it. We bring in ancient wisdom, from Stoicism to Eastern philosophy. These teachings all point to one truth. When you don't need anything from anyone, that's when people start to need you. Stillness becomes your strength. Silence becomes your answer. Because when you walk away without a word, you say more than any goodbye ever could. You don't need to prove your value. You need to remember it, and when you do, you'll see who regrets losing you. Not because you changed, but because you finally stopped hiding. There's something deeper happening here, something unseen. It's not just your words or actions that change. Your energy changes. And whether people understand it or not, they feel it. In this section, we talk about that invisible shift, how the moment you stop begging to be noticed is the moment your presence becomes unforgettable. This idea isn't new. It's been taught for centuries, from Hermetic wisdom to Eastern teachings to modern quantum theory. Everything is energy, and when your inner world shifts, the outer world responds. You've seen it before. Someone walks into a room and says, "Nothing," but everyone feels their presence. That's what happens when you reclaim your power. You stop asking, "Why did they hurt me?" and start embodying, "They lost something they'll never find again." People don't always remember what you said, but they always remember how your energy made them feel, and when that energy rises, they feel the emptiness you left behind. Let's talk about the moment everything shifts, the day you stop needing their apology, the day you no longer wait for closure, the day you let go, not out of anger but out of clarity. That's the day they start to remember you. They'll think about your silence, your strength, your stillness, and they'll realize the version of you they walked away from doesn't exist anymore. You've grown, you've healed, you've stopped trying to fit into their small world and built one of your own. You became someone they no longer have access to. And the truth is, By the time they regret losing you, you'll already be too far gone to care. This is where the journey ends and begins again. Now that you've stopped chasing, stopped proving, stopped apologizing, something beautiful happens. You become unforgettable. You don't need revenge. You don't need to be missed. You've simply become someone so whole that no one can take your light again. We wrap up by talking about the power of self-respect, soul growth, and full ownership of who you are. The people who left, they weren't villains. They were mirrors, showing you the parts of yourself that needed healing. They were the reason you went deeper, and now that you've done the work, now that you've returned to yourself, you don't need their regret to feel validated. You've become someone only the brave can love, someone only the real can meet. You've become someone they'll remember forever. So now, the journey ends with one final question. Who are you without their approval? Without their attention? Without the need to be chosen? Would you still rise? Would you still shine? Because the moment you stop asking others to see your worth is the moment you finally start to see it yourself. You are not here to be chosen. You are here to remember who you are, and once you do, they will regret losing you, but more importantly, you will never regret finding yourself. Sometimes people leave you, not because of who you are, but because they never truly saw you. This is how we begin, by flipping the pain of rejection into something powerful. In this first section, we speak directly to that moment when someone you cared about walked away. That hurts. It leaves you confused. But what if that moment wasn't the end, but the beginning? We'll explore how even the greatest souls, Buddha, Jesus, Socrates, were pushed away by the people around them. They were misunderstood, but they didn't chase after anyone. They turned inward and awakened. This is the heart of the entire message. The mindset that changes everything. A way of thinking so powerful, it makes you untouchable. We're not talking about becoming cold or angry. We're talking about becoming grounded, so deeply rooted in who you are that no one else's opinion can shake you. This is the mindset of ancient wisdom. The Stoics called it the inner fortress. The Eastern sages called it the eternal self. In this section, we explore how your true worth doesn't come from anyone else. You don't need to be chosen. You don't need to be understood. You just need to remember who you are. We'll use simple stories like how some people became stronger after heartbreak, how mystics found power in being alone, how silence became their strength. Once you master this mindset, something strange happens. People start to feel your absence deeply, because now they can't reach you in the same way. You didn't get colder. You got clearer. Let's talk about what happens after you walk away. At first, they don't feel it. They may even act like they don't care. But silence has power, a deep, heavy kind of power. This section explains how your growth becomes a mirror. Your peace makes them feel their chaos. Your strength shows them their weakness. Psychologist Carl Jung once said that the things we hate in others are really things we haven't faced in ourselves. So when you stop chasing and just become, they're left alone with their own reflection. We'll explore the idea of the shadow, the part of people they hide even from themselves. When you rise, it shows them what they lost. Not just you, but the version of themselves that felt whole when you were around. You don't have to do anything, your absence does the work. Now we go deeper into the pain, because you will feel hurt, you will question yourself, but that's where the magic happens. This part is about emotional alchemy, how to take heartbreak and turn it into strength, like turning wounds into wisdom, like fire turning metal into gold. We share the idea from the poet Rumi. The wound is where the light enters you. Your heartbreak isn't your end, it's your transformation. We'll look at real stories, people who were left behind, and use that pain to build something greater. People who didn't let loss destroy them, but refine them. We don't rush past the pain. We honor it, because when you feel everything fully, something inside you changes. You stop needing answers. You start creating meaning, and that is power no one can touch. There's something most people don't understand. Energy doesn't just disappear. When you gave them your love, your time, your attention, you were giving energy. And when you pull it back, it leaves a hole. This section explains the idea of energetic echoes. Even if you're quiet, your absence still speaks. We explore ancient spiritual ideas and modern truths, how the energy you carry stays with people. You don't have to call. You don't have to post anything, they'll feel it. Real stories are shared. People who walked away silently, only to be chased later by those who didn't value them at first. But here's the key. You didn't disappear to prove a point. You disappeared to find peace, and that peace made echoes.